Hey, what's up guys, and I'm here with a new series for you guys to enjoy. A crossover between Naruto and the Spider-Man universe. But not just Spider-Man, even though it will be based in that, guys. After all, there will be S.H.I.E.L.D. and Marvel and all of that, but the Spider-Man role will play a big part in this, guys. What if Naruto was sent to the Spider-Man universe? And this is not just a single one. All Spider-Man universe, all crossover, all. Games, comics, everything, including the Spider-Man, every single Spider-Man that was ever created will be involved. However, there can only be one that reigns supreme over all. So sit back and relax. What if Naruto was sent to the Spider-Man universe? And if you enjoy and want to see more, go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And if you want to go ahead and check it out for yourself, the link will be in the comments, so go ahead if you want to, guys, or sit back and relax right here. So remember, 4 channels, more series to come. All links will be down in the description, so without further ado, or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this new episode? Begin now, guys. Richard Parker gave a sad sigh as he looked through the window of the plane. His brown eyes held loss and sadness, and a mental age of a man who was ready to give up on the world. In his hand he was holding a nearly empty glass of champagne, the bottle in his other hand tightly. There was another bottle in the seat next to him, ready to be drank once he was done with this one. The last 3 months had been the worst. Worse than hell could ever be, on both him and his wife. They were going to have a child, a boy. They had decorated his nursery and everything. They had the blue walls decorated in the nursery. They had toys, everything that he would ever need, as they planned they would be taking care of a boy for the next couple of years. However, it seems like fate had other plans. Their happiness was shattered of having another Parker in the family. When the baby was brought into the hospital room, the child, who they would name Peter, was preborn. His small, fragile body was unable to withstand birth. He died before he could even take a breath. It wrecked Richard and Mary immensely, even with the support from their friends and family. The both of them could never come back from this tragedy. His wife, who looked to be twice her age from the depression that she was in, would always be seen near the nursery, dry tears on her face, as she would hold on to a stuffed bear. If not that, she would walk the halls, her eyes looking blank, like she was a lost spirit. He, like his wife, had been in a depressed state, but unlike Mary, Richard decided to use his pain into his work. He would be in his office 24/7, much to the disapproval of his sister-in-law and his brother scolding him for not consoling his wife. However, what he was working on needed to be finished. He was mad. He was pissed to hell. His son, before he even got to know him, was gone. Why? Why was fate so cruel? And he was not blind. How many others in the world had suffered the same fate? To lose their children at birth, to lose loved ones from disease and plagues. He wanted to change that, to give people the happiness that he could not have. So, with the help of his colleague and friend, Eddie Brooks Sr., they set off on a journey to create something that would revolutionize the world forever. They call it the Suit, a project based on something that they discovered many years ago. It was supposed to be the cure and the means for healing humanity and healing disease and illness. The initial project that they first came upon was deemed too dangerous to use, so they work on something, a first start. Many years ago, Richard and his colleagues discovered something amazing, a specimen. It was some sort of symbiotic organism, a ooze, which bound itself to one of the men. It had wrapped around him, covering him completely. It granted him immense strength, speed, agility. It amazed them all. However, there was a problem. It seems that the symbiote drained the wearer of their energy, and once they were completely drained, they were killed. They were able to contain the symbiote for a study. They told no one of what they had found. Richard and Eddie had decided to create a byproduct of the symbiotes, one that would not kill the wearer, but instead help them and give them life. And with the task at hand, Richard was on his way to Asia to meet up with Eddie, who told him on the phone that he might have found something that would help their project. He knew the risks of what he was doing, as he had been pushing away his family, the image of a disappointed Ben, the look that he gave him at the airport. But he knew if he could do this, if he could prove that he could do this, it would all be worth it. When his plane touched down, he got off, as he spotted Eddie waiting for him, leaning up against his truck. Greeting him, he got in, as both of them left the lot. "So, you said over the phone that you found something," Richard said, his tone sounding a bit tired, as he was hoping to be one step further in finishing the suit. Eddie looked towards his friend with pity, as he knew what caused his sorrow. To lose a child was no doubt the worst pain a parent could go through. If anything happened to his son, Eddie Brock Jr., he didn't know what he would do. Nodding, Eddie reached behind his seat as he pulled out the device, as he handed it to Richard. "Yeah, some strange reading coming from the jungle, a few miles away from here. The reading are like nothing we've ever seen before. It could be like the time when we found that," he hinted, recalling to the time when they discovered the symbiote. Richard nodded as he looked at the reading, finding them strange indeed. Not of this world. Strange. "It's worth checking out. Does anyone else know about this?" he said, knowing that there were organizations out there and many groups that would be interested, one of said group being S.H.I.E.L.D. Eddie shook his head. "I doubt it," he said. The reading was small and seemed to pulse in a random order. "I would have barely caught it myself if I wasn't here to meet an old friend and I wasn't close by." "Is anyone joining us?" Richard asked. Eddie shook his head no. "I decided that it would be safe to keep this on the down low. So it's just you, me, and a couple of guys that I got." Richard nodded as he sat back to enjoy the ride as much as he could, hoping to quell his troubling thoughts. Time skip. Richard grunted as he chopped through the leaf and vine, as he trudged through the forest. Eddie and the guys that Eddie hired were behind him as he looked down towards the device, following the strange source of energy that was releasing in random directions. He shook the device as the scream fluctuated a bit, making him sigh in annoyance. He was mentally tired, but he forced himself to continue. He would not give up until he made the suit. Until he could free the world from pain and loss, he would not give up. He whacked the device lightly as the scream started static once again. However, upon whacking it, it came to a complete stop. "What's wrong?" Eddie asked, as Richard raised the device, showing it off to him. "The thing is dead." "You forget to charge the battery or something?" he asked, in a joking tone, making Eddie's eye twitch. "It does not use battery. You sure you didn't just break it?" He shot back. He had made the device himself, and if Richard broke it. Richard rolled his eyes as he placed the device in his coat pocket. "No, I did not break it," he said. "The thing just turned off. Luckily, I was able to see that we're close before it turned off," he said, as he looked around, moving towards the location as the others followed after him, as they made their way. As Richard started to walk around as he looked at all the trees, a frown came on his face. He came here to find something, and by the Parker luck, which was unexpected, he was gonna damn well find it. Speaking of that Parker luck, Richard yelled out as he suddenly fell into a hole. He barely heard Eddie scream his name as he fell into the deep darkness down below, swallowing up as he went straight down. He counted at least a minute as he fell, as he believed that he was gonna die. To him, this fall seemed to go on forever until he crashed hard on the ground as he groaned in agonizing pain. "Oh, typical Parker luck," he said, as he felt his bones shaking from the impact. He painfully got up off the ground. His heart was beating hard against his chest, like a drum. "Thought I was gonna die there," he thought to himself, as he felt a bump on the back of his head. Looking around, he raised an eyebrow as he saw that he was in an underground cave, the only light coming from the hole that he fell through. Speaking of the hole, he glanced up. As he realized how far it was a miracle that he was alive. As he could faintly hear Eddie calling out to him. Great. Just great, he thought, as he looked around trying to find a way out. As he used the wall as a guide, guiding him through the darkness. Walking around for a few minutes, he was surprised when he saw a faint light ahead of him. Hopeful that it was a way out, he made his way towards it. Once reaching, he saw that it was some kind of inner cavern. The wall was cracked as pieces of light were shining through. It was big. Not big enough, but enough to fit in a wide group. However, what caught his attention was the people that seemed to be floating over the ground, encased in some kind of bubble of energy. It was a man with blonde hair, wearing a coat with red flames at the bottom. And then there was a woman with red hair. They were embracing something in a secure grasp. Taking a step forward, symbols and strange markings that he could not understand lit up the entire place as he had to cover his eyes. When the light died down, he heard a sharp intake of breath, and then a baby crying. Putting his arm down, he saw the bubble around the two had vanished, safely putting them on the ground. The man lay still, pulled away from the woman, as Richard saw a giant hole in the man's abdomen. He just knew that the man was dead, given his dull eyes. He gasped when he saw that the woman also had a hole in her stomach as well. However, she was holding on to the object in her hand, which was a baby. She was still alive. The woman started to speak. Her words were foreign. It sounded Japanese. However, she looked down towards her baby. It's okay, Naruto, she said. Everything's gonna be okay. Her voice was weak, but she tried to be strong for her crying son. Hearing movement, she tensed as she glanced up, holding Naruto tighter to protect him. That is when she saw a man, as it was none other than Richard looking towards her, as she threw him a glare. Seeing this, Richard placed his hands up. Hey, it's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you, he said. The woman narrowed her eyes in confusion, as she did not understand what he was saying. But before she could make another move, she started to cough violently as blood started to come from her mouth. Hey, don't move. You need help. I'll see if I can get help. Sure, he studied medical for a few years, but nothing in his brain could help her right now. She needed a hospital and fast. As he turned to rush off back to Eddie when she called out to him. While he did not understand what she was saying, she shouted, wait. As Richard turned back towards her, as he saw the plead in her eyes. Before she looked back down toward her son, Aishiru, Naruto-chan, she said, which means I love you in her language. As she looked down towards him, she then leaned down and gave him a kiss on the head. She then glanced up towards Richard, pleading look in her eyes as she started to speak. He did not understand her words, but she said, please, take care of Naruto. Please, protect him. Please, she said, her voice began to strain. Please. As her eyes grew blank, as Richard watched as the life left her. Richard had tried to do something, but there was nothing that he could do. As he checked her pulse, she was gone. As he picked up the child that was now parentless, just like how him and Mary lost their son. This boy lost his parents, and he seemed to be no older than a day old. If this was a work of fate, then fate was a sick bastard. Richard was able to hear the part of the name. As he picked up the child, shh, it's okay now, Naruto, right? He said, despite the child not being able to respond. Everything's gonna be alright, as he held him in his arms. Slowly the toddler started to calm down, his whimpers coming to a slow stop. When he was done, he opened his eyes as Richard saw a deep ocean blue. He has never seen a blue like that before. As he saw that he already had a head of growing blonde hair, he glanced towards the man that was over to the side. He inherited from his father, it seems. Strangely enough, on his cheeks were whisker-line markings, like a cat. It could have been a trick of the light, but Richard could have swore that for a split second he saw the boy's eyes flash red. Shaking his head, he put it off to it being the light. I'm so sorry this had to happen to you, Naruto, he said, as he looked down towards the woman. But your mother entrusted me, a complete stranger, to take care of you. As the child's arms reached up to his face in curiosity. As he leaned down, as the child's hand came on his cheek. We both lost someone very special to us. But I promise, we will not go through this world alone, he said, as he kept a hold on the boy. As he looked toward the dead couple, a determined look in his eyes. I promise I'll take good care of your son and make sure nothing happened to him. I swear on it. He would need to get man down here to pick up the bodies. They deserve a proper burial. Looking around, he spotted a small hole in the wall, but big enough for him to squeeze through. As he smiled down at the giggling boy, "Let's go home, Naruto Parker," he said. "Won't your new mom be surprised?" As Naruto simply giggled. Time skip. Mary was shocked he was right. So was Ben and May when he showed up with a baby after his trip. As he explained what happened, while they were skeptical about some parts, they acknowledged what he said. They also feel sorry for the boy, and they also saw the connection between him and the childless parents. Richard smiled as he looked towards his happy wife from the kitchen as she played with the giggling Naruto. The instant Mary picked the boy up, it seems that this rush had just washed away the depression, as she was holding on to him for dear life, like he would vanish if she released him. She was still depressed at her unborn son not making it, but the second she saw Naruto, it was like something had just clicked. It was like she was given a second chance to be a mother. Feeling a hand on his shoulder, Richard glanced up as he saw Ben, a glass of wine in his hand. As he grabbed the glass of wine, they sat down as the two Parker brothers glanced towards the giggling Naruto and the gushing Mary. Ben looked towards his brother. "How are you doing, Richard?" he said, curious the soft look on his brother's face. Without looking at him, Richard smiled, a true smile that has not been seen since that day of the tragic event. "I'm happy, Ben," he said. "After so long, I'm happy. Yes, his heart will always ache for Peter." And he knew that Naruto was not a replacement. But he had promised his parents and himself that he would raise and take care of the boy like his own son. No matter what, Naruto was now his son, now and forever. Ben smiled at his brother, truly happy for him. It seems like things were looking up for the Parkers. Time skip. 4 years later, Parker residence. A giggling 4-year-old Naruto Parker walked down the hallway of his home as he was wearing a long-sleeved red shirt along with his dark blue pajamas with little bunnies on them. He and his father was playing hide and seek, but he had to stop for a minute when he got a call. His mother was cooking, so he could not disturb her. He was promised cookies later on if he was good, and he wanted them. As his eyes glanced around to find a place to hide for when his daddy was done, he opened the closet door, but it was filled with clothes and boxes as he could not hide in there. Looking around, he saw that the door to his dad's workroom was slightly open. He was not allowed inside, at the fear of him probably breaking something. And if he did go in there without permission, his mom might take away cookies from him, and he wanted cookies. He was a good child after all, and good boys follow mommy rules and he get all the cookies. However, he tilted his head to the side, curious like a fox. His dad's door was always closed. He never left it open, not even by mistake. Being the curious boy he was, he slightly started to approach the door. He glanced behind him to make sure that his dad wasn't here to see him. As he slowly tiptoed towards the door, a small hand placed on the wooden door, he gently pushed it open easily. Peeking inside, his eyes widened when he saw that the whole office was a mess. Papers were spilled on the floor, the chairs tumbled over, and there was a shattered hole on the window. His breath caught in his throat at the scary sight. Naruto turned his head outside the room. "Dad? Dad?" Richard, who had just finished his video call, who was in the dining room alone, as he heard his son calling out to him, as he heard the slight panic in his son's voice. As he heard the call from his office, he rushed inside, his eyes widening when he saw his office state. Richard did not say anything. He knew that it was not Naruto's fault. No, it was much worse. He quickly ran to his desk just as Mary entered, as she had also heard Naruto calling out. Gasping at the sight, she quickly picked Naruto up, making sure that he was not hurt. As she looked towards her husband, hearing him curse under his breath. "It's gone," he said, as he looked at the table. "The USB for the formula. It's gone." Mary's eyes widened as she heard what he said. He quickly moved and pulled out the drawer in the desk. As he dumped out all the contents, he then switched something inside as it opened to show a hidden base. As he pulled out the file, picking it up, he looked through it to make sure everything was there. It was. Sharing a worried glance with his wife, he went around cleaning all the chalkboards with the formula as he started to pack the necessary things, books, items in a bag. As he did that, Mary, with Naruto in her arms, went to pack his things. When everything that was needed was packed, the three quickly got into a car. As they drove towards his Aunt May and his Uncle Ben, as Naruto sat in the back, holding on to his stuffed fox toy, as his parents were whispering amongst themselves. It was raining, making him flinch, as he heard the loud bang of thunder outside. Seeing this, Mary looked towards him with a loving look. "It's okay, my little sunshine," she said. "Everything is gonna be okay," as she gave him a gentle smile, which Naruto reciprocated with a nod. They arrived towards his aunt and uncle. Naruto watched him in the doorway as his parents talked to them. They seemed to be in some sort of rush. Seeing him, Aunt May tried to give him a soft smile. However, Naruto saw tears going down his mother's cheeks. "What do you mean you're leaving?" said Naruto, as he heard his parents saying that they had to leave. "I don't want to leave," he said. "Why can't I go with you?" He cried, tears falling down from his eyes. Mary was the same as her son, as it hurt her heart so much to have to do this. She tried to be brave, but she just could not. Kneeling down to his level, she held her arms open to him. She was barely able to keep herself from falling back as Naruto crashed into her. She wrapped her arms around him in an embrace as she felt her shirt getting wet as Naruto cried against her. She took a shaky breath as she tried to hold her cries, running her hand through his sun-kissed blonde hair. How she loved his hair. It was a bright blonde, like a small sun, which is why she called him her little sunshine. "I'm so sorry, my little sunshine," she said. "I'm so sorry," as she pulled back and looked at the teary-eyed Naruto. Barely managed putting on a smile, she placed her hands on his whiskered cheeks, wiping his tears away. Memories of the time when she would dress him up in fox outfits, matching his whisker little marks. The tears wanted to spill once again as she tried to fight them back. "But your father and I, we have some very important things to do. I'm sorry, but we cannot take you with us." As she placed her forehead against his, she choked as she looked into his sad eyes. "Naruto, her sweet Naruto, her baby boy. We need you to be brave, okay?" Choking back his own tears, Naruto nodded. Smiling, Mary placed a kiss on his forehead. "I love you. Always remember that." As Naruto nodded once more, "I love you too," he said. "Now we need you to stay with your Uncle Ben and Aunt May in the meanwhile, okay?" As Naruto nodded once more. Watching his wife and son give their final goodbyes, Richard felt a pit growing in his stomach. He had failed. He had promised his son's biological mother that he would take care of Naruto forever. Her final wish, and he failed, all because of the decisions that he made. He was a terrible father, and now his choices were going to be the death of himself and his wife, leaving Naruto with another set of parents gone. Fate was a bitch. Moving forward, he knelt down beside them as he pulled them into a tight group hug. He struggled to hold back his tears as he thought about how cruel life was. Ben and May watched with sad frowns on their face. The addition of Naruto into the Parker family had been the best thing to ever happen to them. He had unknowingly pulled the both of them out of their depression, and even though he did not have their looks, blood or not, he was their son. He even had that similar spark in his eyes when he looked at his school books. It seems like he had a knack for science as well. Genetics or not, they counted him as a true Parker. They themselves also see Naruto as their real nephew, who they love immensely. Pulling back a bit, Mary gulped down a sob as she moved a straight bang away from her son's face, tucking it behind his ear, as her fingers trailed through his blonde hair as she came back to the following weeks where she tried to fix it, but ultimately she had given up, as she had grown to love his wild hair, and his blue eyes were like looking into the ocean. She chuckled sadly, knowing that she would never get to see him be chased by girls, as he would grow up to be rather handsome. He likes to read stories before bed, and he likes to sleep with the door a bit open. Don't let him stay up past then, and eat candy before dinner. She told Ben and May as her voice kept on breaking up as she played with Naruto's hair. Richard frowned sadly as he reluctantly pulled his wife up, as Ben stepped forward and held his hand out to Naruto with a sad look. Naruto wiped his tears and grabbed his uncle's hand. He watched as his parents sent him one last goodbye before they got in the car and left. It would be the last time that he saw them, as a week later two men appeared at the door. The plane that Richard and Mary Parker were in crashed, and everyone on board died. Time skip. 12 years later. Blue eyes blinking, Naruto Parker shook his head as he snapped out of his own memories. He sighed as he took the latest photograph. Being a part of his school news club, closed in a glass case. He picked up his skateboard that was leaning against a wall as he walked off towards his locker, pulling his hand in his red and black jacket. He had black pants and red and black sneakers, with a camera hanging onto his chest. At the age of 16, he was 5'8", and his blonde hair had reached down to his shoulders. It was still as wild as usual, but a bit more tame. He had a bang that fell right between his face, and if he narrowed his eyes, it would give him a sexy look, according to the female students. Even more so due to his whisker-like markings that the girls found wild and sexy. Around his neck was black and orange headphones, and on top of his head was familiar glasses. It was his father's glasses, and when he put them on, his eyes suddenly adjust to see through them for some reason. Same as when he took them off. He liked to place them on when he's doing homework or some home project. According to his aunt and uncle, it made him look a lot like his father. Naruto, after a lot of studying and his growth spurt equal to him, well, maturing, becoming extremely handsome. And because of studying, Naruto was extremely smart. Though he liked to keep his grade at an average level. Nothing too fancy but nothing too low. Above average, if you would say. Because too much smarts led to bullying in the past. And according to a few of his friends, he was dense when it came to women, which he had no idea what they were talking about. As he arrived to his locker and changed his books for the next class, the door of the locker had pictures of him and his friends. Hey Naruto. Speaking of friends, as Naruto turned to see one of his best friend walking towards him. Her name was Mary Jane Watson, however. He called her MJ. A cute girl, having dark red hair that reached down to her lower back. Soft green eyes and a few freckles on her nose and cheek. As Naruto found it really cute. He had known her since first grade when the two became friends. It helped that their aunts lived close together, and Naruto was able to speak with her more than on one occasion, as their friendship had grew since then. Whenever there was one, the other was always nearby. They were so close, people always joked that they would get married in the future. At first it was a bit embarrassing, making the both of them always look away, but it started to become annoying later, as Naruto always argued that they were just friends, with MJ agreeing, but sometimes she was reluctant, and she always had a little small blush at first, much Naruto's confusion. Currently she was the reporter for the school paper, which given her love to finding out juicy secrets. She treated it like a, well, top grade mission. Sup MJ, said Naruto as he put the books in his bag, as she leaned on the locker next to him looking at him with amusement in her eyes. So tell me, how go the life of one Naruto Parker, she said. As Naruto scoffed in amusement before, he leaned on his locker looking towards her. Oh, you know, going to school where the status of one, popularity, could mean life or death. Going to boring classes, eating disgusting cafeteria food, and having to deal with a best friend that look at you like you're tomorrow. Latest gossip. Other than that, I'm good. She elbowed him in the side, making him chuckle, as she pouted and crossed her arms with a huff. I'll have you know that you're not tomorrow gossip issue. You're next week, she said. Rumor has it that one of the married teachers having an affair with a student, she said, with a grin. As Naruto rolled his eyes, drama. No thanks. MJ, you promise that you won't use gossip to ruin people's life. Remember when you wrote about that cheerleader cheating on her boyfriend with the soccer player? He reminded her as he gave her a deadpan look, as she pouted childishly, crossing her arms. People deserve to know the truth, she argued back. Not at the expense of hurting others, said Naruto. She grumbled as she was forced to agree. Fine, she said. I'll just write about the mystery meat that is being served at the cafeteria, making Naruto chuckle. Aw, look Kong. Princess is getting along with her little pet kitty cat. The both of them cringed as they heard her voice. Flash Thompson, quarterback for the Midtown High football team, as well as a local high school bully. It was safe to say that Flash had picked Naruto as his daily insult target and mockery, due to Naruto's strange markings on his cheek. Flash was a tall, muscular individual with spiky blonde hair and green eyes. His well-chiseled jaw making him rather handsome to the girls, making him a tie with Naruto for the girls' affection, which was something that was annoying to him. Both Naruto and Mary Jane had the dishonored pleasure to say that they were once friends with him back in middle school, before he let the popularity got to his head and swell his ego so much. When high school came around, he figured that popularity was more important than friendship. Luckily, Flash never went too far and tried to physically pick on Naruto. A glare from Naruto would make Flash step back, as he would not try to actively touch Naruto. It was only mockery and talking, as Flash knew better despite how big he was. At his side was Elizabeth, or just Liz. She was Flash's girlfriend, as she was sending into an apologetic look. Liz was a cute girl with dark brown hair, brown eyes, and a tan skin tone. She was a cheerleader, and she has been dating Flash for a few months now. Liz had been friends with him in middle school, when she had first moved to New York. Even though her boyfriend was a jerk to the two at times, Liz still hung out with them. Next was Kenneth Kong. Flash's sidekick, Kong, like his name, was a big, large guy, shaved head, and could be seen almost 90% of the time eating. As he was also on the football team, he was Flash lackey and always helped him bully students that was smaller and weaker. However, both Naruto and MJ knew that Kong was actually a sweetheart. He only acted mean so he would not get bullied due to his weight. The life of high school drama. It was a lot. As Naruto rolled his eyes every day, it was the same old joke. Seriously, his whisker marks were not that strange. And even if it was the county and area code was used to them. All the way from his childhood, people always comment on his marking, at how cute they made him. And Flash mocking was getting very old, very fast. Still with the same material I see. You gotta change your material or you will see your future wind up as a one-class act. Being the starter for the funny clowns at Naruto, making Liz, MJ, and a few students laugh. Flash glare at Naruto. Watch it, Parker, or what, said Naruto. Stuff me in the locker. Dump my head in the toilet. Steal my lunch money, Naruto asks, rhetorically, as he shakes his head in mock disappointment. Oh, Flash, if you keep on going like this, you'll be nothing more than a janitor. That is if you pass your finals without having me help you for a whole week straight of studying. He mocked, making all the students around them laugh. Flash's face turned red in embarrassment. He grew even angrier when the two girls beside him laughed as well. He stuttered as he tried to come back with a comment, but he felt a hand on his shoulder. Looking back, he saw Randall Robinson, a tall, dark-skinned man with dark hair and dark eyes. Like Flash and Kong, he was also wearing the school football jacket. Randolph was a cool guy, nice to everyone, and he barely got mad, as he sent Flash an amused grin. Whoa, Flash, that was a pretty bad burn. As he started to laugh, Flash decided to not embarrass himself anymore, as he left. Laughing, Mary Jane shook her head as she looked towards Naruto. Oh man, nice one, Whisker, she said, as Naruto shrugged. Flash is a bully. Nothing more and nothing less, said Naruto. Once he's out of high school, if he gets out, he's in for a high dose of reality. Randolph nodded. Show that man, he said. Flash was his friend and all, but he needed to learn that the real world was different, and his personality would get him into a lot of trouble. I see that I missed the show. Let me guess. Naruto put Flash in his place once again. As Naruto smiled hearing that voice, as he turned toward his other best friend, the local rich boy, Harry Osborn. Harry was a good-looking guy, and well, he was also rich, making him the eye candy of nearly every female student. His father was Norman Osborn, the president of Osborn, a multinational company. Harry was popular in school for his money and looks. He had swept back brown hair, as he was the same height as Naruto. Yo, Harry, said Naruto, how's my favorite money bag? Harry rolled his eyes at Naruto's antics, knowing that he was just joking. One of the reasons why he liked to hang out with Naruto is because Naruto did not give a damn about his rich status. Naruto just liked to hang out with him because they were friends. True friends. Unlike other people, Naruto did not try to get friendly favors out of him or ask for a few bucks. To Naruto, if you wanted something, you had to earn it through hard work and not from other people. Exchanging high fives, he nodded to Mary Jane as she nodded back towards him, as the three made their way towards their next class, which Naruto and MJ shared. So, you guys excited about tomorrow? Naruto asked, with a wide grin. They looked at him with confusion. What's so special about tomorrow? MJ asked. You're kidding, right? Said Naruto, as he looked at them. But they shook their heads no. How could you guys forget? Said Naruto. Tomorrow we're going on a trip to the Oscorp Science Center, said Naruto. As his eyes practically had stars in them, he was excited. Now knowing what had him so excited, the both of them rolled their eyes. Naruto had inherited his parents' love for science, and he was always excited to learn more on the subject. Often he got caught up so much, like he was stuck in a trance, as he started to talk about things that no one but people at his level would be able to understand. It was too scientific for them, as Naruto can really get obsessive about something. There was this one time when he got so obsessive that he started to ignore pretty much everyone. It almost ruined his friendship with Mary Jane, if his uncle did not knock him out of it. Yes, he can get really obsessive about one subject and it would seem like he was not going to come off it for years to come. So if he ever shows signs of trying to distance himself once again, MJ would simply whack him on the back of the head, snapping him out of it. As Harry chuckled in amusement at his best friend, as Mary Jane simply rolled her eyes. Even knowing Naruto as long as she did, she still could not understand his love for science. Well, she did, but she just could not keep up with him. Man, Naruto, still the geek as ever, huh? Harry said, making Naruto pout childishly. As MJ turned her head to the side, hiding her blushing cheeks at how cute he looked while he was pouting. I'll have you know this geek helped you pass your finals last year. And of course I love science. Not only are there so much great discoveries from it, but it's also an honor to my parents, he said. That caused a sad frown to come on his face as he recalled the last time he saw his parents. A flick to his forehead snapped him out of that as he turned his head towards Mary Jane. She looked at him like she was scolding him. What have I told you, Naruto Parker, she said. You do not go into a depression again. It took me and your aunt and uncle a long time to pull you out of the last one when you were a kid, and we're not going through that again, okay? I know you miss them, but it is no excuse to keep on moping around. I swear, if you go emo again, I'll take away all your ramen. As Naruto paled at hearing that ramen, Naruto was obsessed with the thing. That was something that he just couldn't get enough of. She wouldn't dare. However, Naruto saw the look in her eyes, and he knew that she was not bluffing in the slightest. Behind them, Harry chuckled in amusement at the two friends. It's like they're a married couple. They can deny it all they want, but everyone knew that. They hold feelings for one another. So, Naruto, your excitement for tomorrow aside, you want to come over? I got the new Call of Duty game. Grinning widely at the news, Naruto looked like he was about to accept it until he remembered something, as an apologetic smile came on his face. Sorry man, but I promised my Aunt May that I would get some stuff from the grocery store for her. She's cooking meatloaf tonight and I definitely cannot miss that. He didn't know why his uncle complained about it. Aunt May meatloaf was amazing. You want to come? He offered, as Harry shook his head. No thanks, he said. Don't want to intrude. Family dinner isn't really my thing. As Naruto frowned, he knew Harry's family was not as tight as his. His father was a strict man who was always working ever since Harry's mother passed away. Harry was always invited to have dinners with the Parker for years now. If you say so, said Naruto, knowing that he would not be able to change the Osborn mind. As the class bell rang as they went to their classes. Later that day, Parker residence. Aunt May, please, said Naruto, in a begging tone. His face slightly red in embarrassment. Aunt May was a nice old lady, but Naruto knew that she had a mischievous side to her, mostly targeted at him. He sent a pleading look towards his uncle, but he got no help as the man simply chuckled. I'm just saying, Naruto, you and Mary Jane have been friends for a long time now, and she's grown into such a beautiful lady. You better make a move on her before someone else does. As she cut a piece of meatloaf and placed it on the blonde Parker plate, as Naruto's face was still burning red. Aunt May, how many times do I have to tell you? MJ and I are just friends, said Naruto, as she simply waved him off. And I'm telling you, things can easily change, she said. You never know, Naruto. The future is not yet written. As Naruto groaned and hid his face into his hands, as he sent a look towards his uncle, asking for his help. I'm sorry, Naruto, but your aunt is right, he said, giving his wife a lovely smile. As he took her hand, believe me when I say this, back when we were around your age, me had a lot of men chasing her. I was lucky when I did and decided to ask her out. We later got married and it's been 25 years, he said, as he smiled at her as she smiled back, with the same amount of, if not greater, love in her eyes. As Naruto smiled at the two, he loved them very much, and he was happy that they were together. He shook his head. Me and MJ. It's... I just don't see it, he said. Ben chuckled in amusement. We'll just have to see, he said. As Naruto rolled his eyes. Finishing his meatloaf, Naruto washed his plate. I'm going down to the lab, he said. Make sure you don't stay up too long down there. I don't want you falling asleep on that old couch down there. Okay, he said. May sighed, that boy. As Ben nodded. Like father, like son, he said, knowing when his brother would do the same. With the approval of his aunt and uncle, Naruto had turned the basement into his own personal lab. Old boxes were thrown out. Things were sold at a garage sale or put in a personal storage. With the big space, Naruto placed in several old monitors that belonged to his parents and his uncle that they no longer use. As Naruto bought the latest Stark Industries server for faster processing, 2 white chalkboard, and he came up with something that he wanted to invent. As he brought the old couch down here for when he wanted to relax. There were a few boxes down here holding his father's journals and books, and there were a few photo albums of his mother. A radio for music, a small TV, and a projector for videos and movies as well. As he sat on his rolling chair, as he rolled over to the computer, he placed on an earpiece. Main system online, he said. His voice control server coming on. System on. Passcode. Pouting MJ looked like a chipmunk. Instantly his monitor turned on, displaying his parents on their wedding day, smiling at the camera. Naruto smiled at the photo. I miss you guys, he said. Before he turned, play Richard Parker record where we left off. Instantly, recording started to play. This is Richard Parker. This is entry number 15. It is currently 6:36, October 5. I have lately been studying the camouflage mechanism of chameleons. As Naruto put on his father's glasses, the blurry image vanishing and showing a clear cut like a camera. As he stepped in front of the board looking at the formulas. Alright, Dad, show me what you need fixing, he said. Time skip. Naruto stepped off the bus, MJ right behind him, as he glanced up towards a large building in front of him. It felt like a dream come true. He was in an advanced technical center. So advanced, as it was not seen anywhere else. Not even Tony Stark had some of the tech that was here. MJ couldn't help but chuckle as she saw the look on his face. She knew that he was having a nerd moment. This was heaven for him. Somebody pinch me, because I must be dreaming. Ow, he said, as he sent Mary Jane a soft glare. However, her face was as innocent as they come. Minx, he said to himself as he rubbed his elbow. Naruto, you're drooling, she said. As Blonde cleaned his lips, they gathered around in front of the instructor at the front. MJ also took in the large building that they stood in front of. She could now see what had made Naruto daze like that. The building reached all the way up to the clouds. She could barely see the roof. See how big it was, it must have taken decades to build. Something like this. Alright people, gather around. As Naruto and MJ moved to the front. Alright, we will head inside and meet with our guide. I want everyone to be on their best behavior. The teacher sent Flash and Kong a warning look. She did not forget what they did on their last field trip. The both of them tried to look innocent, but they were failing badly. Stick together and do not wander off. Follow all the rules and do not touch anything. They made their way inside. Welcome to Oscorp Science Center. As there was an Asian woman standing there in a lab coat. This is where Oscorp make great discoveries which help improve people's life. Beginning the tour, they were led into the building. Naruto and MJ was at awe at how everything was. As the guy talked about the history and the center, the genetic, medical breakthroughs. However, only Naruto and Mary Jane to an extent was paying attention. Everyone else found it rather boring and just happy not to be in class. As they went up to the upper floor, currently their lab is studying a new experiment. One helped begin by a Dr. Kurt Connors. Cross-species genetics, said Naruto. As Mary Jane glanced towards him. What? She said. Dr. Connors study cross-species genetics. To be able to transfer any animal or any other species DNA into another life form intentionally, creating a new species. It's kind of like a hybrid or that old chimera story. A being with the DNA of other species. Mary raised her eyebrow towards him. How do you know all of that? I read it online. It was also in my dad's journal. He used to work with Dr. Connors in the Cross Speeches project before he died. Though it said that he stopped the project before it got too far. It didn't say why though, said Naruto. Naruto had been following Dr. Connors' work for some time now, the man being one of his heroes. At the top of the list was his father, of course. And there was Kurt Connors, Reed Richards, Tony Stark, and Bruce Banner, and also Otto Octavius. So what? You're trying to make freaks? Like those mutants? Flash said, causing some of the students to mutter at Oscorp, creating mutants. As Naruto shot him a glare, unlike others, Naruto did not see a problem with mutants, and neither did Mary Jane. To Naruto, mutants were just like everyone else. The guide shook her head. No, you misunderstand. We're looking to discover the hidden secrets in the animal kingdom and reproduce certain genetic attributes. As Naruto raised his hand, the woman nodded towards him. You mean like when a woman gets Parkinson, when the brain cell that produce dopamism start to disappear. However, there's a species, the zebrafish, that has the ability to regenerate cells on command. If you're able to somehow pass that ability towards a woman, she would essentially cure herself. The woman smiled in surprise at Naruto's intellect. Very observant, she said. Yes, something like that is the goal of our cross-species project. Very good, Mr. Parker, the teacher said, a smile on her face. One of our school best and brightest. As Flash coughed, nerd, he coughed once again, making some of the others chuckle as MJ shot him a glare. However, Naruto did not care at the moment. He was proud to be smart like his parents. The guide nodded, still smiling at Naruto. Well, it is the nerd, as you put it, who helped our race advance. Now then, she said, there's something I must check. Please feel free to look around, but do not disturb the workers or mess with anything. With permission given, they start to move around as Naruto, Mary Jane, and Harry were looking over at the case that held some spiders inside. Wow, creepy, said Mary Jane as she leaned forward to take a look, until she felt something on the back of her neck as she jumped, seeing Naruto standing there chuckling. So not funny, Whisker, she said. Careful, Red, said Naruto as he pulled her back a bit. You don't want to accidentally tumble all the cages down and release the spiders, do you? She shivered at the horrifying thought of all those spiders crawling over her as she proceeded to step back. Still chuckling, Naruto looked over the place. I definitely want to work in a place like this one day. As Harry chuckled at his friend, I am sure you will one day, Naruto, he said. I am sure that you will. After all, with that big brain of yours, there's no doubt that you will be getting scholarships and invites. As Mary Jane nodded in agreement, as Naruto shrugged as he looked towards the spider case. Says here that the spiders are also in the cross-species project. They've been injected with some kind of formula, making them radioactive in a sense. It will be rather dangerous to be bitten by one. MJ shivered as she watched the spiders jump and crawl on the glass. As Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, Red, he said. These people would be crazy to put experimental subjects out in public. In fact, there's a note right here that says, these are just regular spiders. No doubt the experimental spiders are kept in some kind of storage or something. As she sighed in relief, seeing her calm, Naruto nudged her, as he held up the camera that he brought, as he got permission from the guide. How about some pictures, or are you still camera shy? She rolled her eyes. She has not been shy since she was a kid. As Naruto stepped back as she posed in front of the cages. Meanwhile, moving through the scattered students, two men in suits, one of them holding a briefcase that was cuffed to his wrists, arrived towards a steel door with an electro-padded key on the side. As the man put in the entry code before the door slipped open, as they entered through another side door, where there was a window to a display to another room. There were men in hazmat suits that were monitoring a machine that was stretching web-like substances. As they entered the room at the end of the hallway, the office where they were going to report to the leader. As the man turned towards them at his computer, without a response, they stood right there in front of him. The one that left without the briefcase spoke. We're here for a progress report, he said. Gulping nervously, the man nodded as he gestured towards the side window where the machine was stretching the web. Well, as you can see, the webbing from the genetic enhanced spiders are making great progress. They're durable and strong as cables, yet as light and ordinary as normal webbing. We are not here for that, Professor. What is the progress in gene splicing? Well, the professor stuttered out. We were successfully able to add in the DNA of different arachnid spiders to the 3 out of 10 spiders picked. The progress is good. And is it compatible with the cross species project? The man in the suit asked. The professor gulped at that. As you know, we have chosen the spider class because it would make it easier to crossbreed. However, when we tried it, the test subjects, they all died, unfortunately. As you know, the formula had been taken from Kurt Connor's and Richard Parker work. However, we only received the first half, and Kurt Connors does not know the second half. All of Richard Parker's work has vanished after his death. Without the second half, it is impossible to get it correct. Mr. Lee, the man said, his voice getting dangerous. May I remind you that Mr. Osborn is demanding for the project to get finished in a month's time. The man nodded in understanding. As the man turned toward his friend with the briefcase and gave him a nod, he reached over as he unclipped the briefcase on the table, removing his cuff, as he then put in the combination before opening it up, showing what was inside. The doctor reached in and pulled out a file. As he opened it up, his eyes went wide. This is... If you require a substitute, you will use this, the man said. As the professor looked at him, but how? How did you get this? It's none of your concern, Professor. Just finished the cross-species project, or you're fired. So with that, the two men exited the office, leaving the shocked professor there. Back on the outside, as Naruto was taking pictures of MJ, who posed next to a large machine, as she was smiling. Come on, MJ, the camera loves you, said Naruto. Okay, she said, as she calmed down her laughter. I think that's enough pictures of me. As the blonde shrugged. Okay then, he said. Now you take photos of me, while I pose sexy, he told her, making her laugh and roll her eyes. I'm sure that many girls would love to have photos of you, said Harry, as Naruto nodded to himself with a proud smile. As Mary Jane frowned, as Naruto was one of the most sought after, handsome boys in the school. Hell, she even saw a few of the female teachers eye him a couple of times. And she really hated it. She won't lie, she had a crush on him back when they were kids. She still do. However, any hints that she gave him, it always went right over his head. So she stopped trying for a bit. It doesn't mean that she's gonna let any slut pin after him. She even knew that Liz had a thing for Naruto before and after she started to date Flash. But like always, Naruto did not notice, and Mary Jane was happy for that. However, his personality was kind and, well, it will keep on filling out, knocking away the competitions until a girl actually, well, get him. And, hell or heaven, that's gonna be me, she thought to herself. Both Naruto and Harry were looking at her as she was grinning. They looked toward each other. Girls, they said, as she was grinning to herself, seeming like she's gone mad, as the group moved to check out the other displays. So, how's that job hunting thing going? Harry asks. Not good. My only options are pizza delivery or working as a photographer for the Daily Bugle. As Mary Jane snapped out of her dream estate. What's wrong with the second choice, she said. The Daily Bugle covers some great sides. In fact, she wished to work there one day, as they're one of the top 5 businesses which where she wants to go into. That's true. But it means I have to work for Jonah Jameson. He's nothing but an egotistical jerk who wants to make people look bad. I mean, have you seen the last headlines? Orphans cluttering the streets. No room left in society. That guy liked to write false news more than he liked to hear the own sound of his voice. Wow, MJ thought he must really not like him. But then again, the guy did try to force a comment from him when his parents had died. That was not a good day for either Naruto or Jameson. For a 4-year-old, Naruto did have a strong right hook, and it went right into the guy nuts. That was a really bad day for Jameson. Yes, really bad day. Then what are you gonna do? You said to yourself you want to earn enough money to buy a motorcycle or something. Still don't know why, she muttered at the end, but Naruto heard her. I told you I hate taking the bus. I either find myself sitting next to a fat guy, or a baby that is crying and his mother ignores it. I just can't deal with it, said Naruto. Meanwhile, in the back area, one of the workers came out of the room. However, the man forgot one of the strict rules. Always get disinfectant while stepping out. And because he did not get disinfected before stepping out, he had an extra guest on his shoulder, a small spider. As the spider took to the ceiling after getting up on the wall, Naruto sighed as he leaned against ceiling posts, as he watched Flash and his buddies messing around with one another. The idiots were going to break something in a science lab with very dangerous chemicals. As Mary Jane had met up with Liz, and the two went off somewhere, as Harry went to go get him and Naruto a soda. As Naruto thought about his life was good despite his parents being dead. He still had his aunt and uncle. Sure, it was tough growing up. Being smarter than others led to bullying sometime. But he pushed through. Oftentimes he wondered if his parents would be proud of him. Happy for the man that he was turning into. Becoming a great scientist like them. But his aunt and uncle told him every time that they would. Still, he wouldn't mind some excitement in his life. Some adventure. He remembers stories from his father about traveling around the world, meeting new people, all those exciting stuffs. As Harry approached him carrying 2 cans of Coke. As Naruto thanked him and popped it open, as he took a sip. Hey Naruto. Naruto glanced up to see Liz and Mary Jane walking towards him. Hey girls. How you doing, Liz? Said Naruto. Okay, she said. This place is pretty boring though. As Naruto chuckled at that. Science is not for everyone. Well, at least we're not in school, said Mary Jane, as Liz agreed with a giggle. Above them, the spider was slowly lowering itself towards the blonde. It felt something strange and primal from this blonde, and it was attracted down towards him. Alright everyone, as they looked up to see their teacher, gather around. We're heading towards the top level to see more. As Naruto started to walk off when he brought the can up to his lips, suddenly there was a scream, as everyone snapped their head around. As Mary had released a cry of surprise and jumped back, Harry's eyes widened, as many students and the lab workers snapped their head around. The cause, Naruto had screamed rather loudly. As he dropped the can, the soda spilled on the ground. As he held his right hand up, the spider had bit into the back of his hand. Naruto felt an intense wave of pain coursing through him, as he swiped his hand, knocking the spider away. As Naruto grit his teeth hard, his vision blurring. His eyes dilated as he heard his name being called several times. However, he could not remain on his feet as Naruto collapsed. But guys, be in subscribe right here. Once the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.